Unspoken as it was September evening, he strolled alone along the lakeshore, shrouded in a fine rain, his hands buried deep within his pockets, and his gaze fixed on the turbulent lights reflected in the water. He was searching for something, though he wasn't quite certain what. Of course, deeply ingrained within us all is a profound desire to seek answers, he thought. But more than searching, he yearned for explanations, wanted to comprehend why so many regrets crowded his mind now, precisely when everything seemed finally tranquil. The melodic sound of the water soothed him, yet every drop also seemed to remind him of things left unsaid, things left undone, and above all of the individual he had permitted to slip away. Someone he hadn't encountered in perhaps 20 years, and yet, the recollection of her still remained vivid, still charged with conflicting emotions. Joy and lightness, regret and melancholy. A memory that felt as though it belonged to another existence. Strange human existences, he thought. In the brightest moments, the longest shadows often conceal themselves. He halted beneath an ancient willow, its weathered bark reminding him of his grandfather's hands, and pondered if that individual she still retained recollection of him. Or perhaps, at that precise moment, she too was strolling somewhere, contemplating him. The thought struck him, but he swiftly suppressed it. And if that were the case, what difference would it make? After all, time never traverses backwards. Yet her visage remained stark in his mind, the conversations, the few fleeting moments spent together each day, brief yet invaluable. And nothing more than that, yet today those instants felt even more significant than they did back then. She had been breathtakingly lovely, singular, intelligent. Every uttered word of hers, always accompanied by a warm smile, felt akin to a gentle caress on the heart. They had never spoken of love, perhaps out of trepidation or shyness, but every silence between them was filled with implied meaning, as if they shared a language all their own. He still recalled the manner in which she lowered her gaze when they laughed together, truly and unconditionally laughed, as if she were endeavoring to protect the truth of that ephemeral moment. And now, after all these years, perhaps that was what he missed most, the disarmingly simple nature of a feeling never explicitly declared, yet perpetually present. Yes, an unspoken feeling, conjured up the vision of seeing her again. What would transpire today? What would she think? He wished he could behold her, even merely for a few fleeting minutes, to converse as they once did, and finally secure the answer he longed for. That the recollection from 20 years ago hadn't been distorted by adolescent fantasies, but had been genuine all along. Certainly, she would still be resplendent, and still that incredible, sparkling, radiant, witty individual. Then, possibly, everything would feel lighter. They could part ways again, as they did in the past, but with one certainty, that such an extraordinary person had genuinely existed and was still out there somewhere. And for a brief, precious moment, her beauty had touched his life, no, their lives. Not to possess her, not to alter her, but solely to acknowledge her like you do with rare artifacts. Without coercing them, without holding them too tightly, just with gratitude. Finally, the precipitation ceased. He sat on a stone wall by the water's edge, allowing himself a faint smile. The lake was tranquil, as if it were silently listening to his thoughts. The sky, now darker but rimmed with stars, reflected 1,000 silver hues on the surface. Perhaps somewhere she, the girl of my recollection, was also smiling, without knowing why, because some connections cannot be explained. They cannot be measured in years or miles. They simply exist. And perhaps, he thought, acknowledging that is sufficient to cultivate inner peace.